we're out there to serve and protect. Any questions at this time for our
questions for Captain Wilson or Chief Medlock?
What was the homicide rate in the South Division?
It's very low. We've had 2 homicides for the year and 1 this past quarter, and that case has been the one that's happened this past quarter has been cleared. And they were known victim, known suspect.
What suggestions do you have for residents to prevent the larceny from auto?
Larceny from autos is not a totally victimless crime. The majority of cases we see, somebody has left something in the car. Primarily GPSs and laptop computers are what we're seeing taken. If people could just take the time to take the valuables out of their cars and lock their cars, you'll be surprised at the number of cases where the vehicles are unlocked. Also, we have a pawn tracking system where every item in Mecklenburg County is entered into a pawn shop system, a database that we can search. And the people that pawn those items have to put their fingerprint on the pawn ticket. One of the things that helps us link up property from crimes to these suspects are serial numbers. And if you're like me and you're lazy and you haven't gone through your house and you haven't written down all your serial numbers, try to write down the big ones. And for larceny from autos, it's GPS systems. People leave laptops in there, and they'll leave MP3 players and iPods and stuff like that. For your house, your television set, especially flat screen televisions. So if you can take the time to have a little bit of common sense, and before you go in at night, take all the valuables out of your car or secure them in the trunk, and then lock your vehicles, it will help us greatly. Another thing you can do is the community involvement. The people that are in the community know what's suspicious of that community. They know what's out of place. So if you see something that looks out of the ordinary, call us. Call 911. These officers are out there. We've got them in these specific areas trying to target crime, but if the criminal's not there, it's not doing us any good. So the community can partner with us and say, hey, there's something that doesn't look right. I think there's somebody walking through the parking lot of my apartment complex and they're looking in the cars, or there's somebody walking down my street or driving slow down my street. Could be they've got a valid reason to be there, and the police officer will make a voluntary contact with them and go from there to find out if there is anything suspicious more from that.
In relation with the Latino community, what kind of measures, what kind of initiatives are doing the South Division?
We reach out to all the members of our communities. We have several Spanish-speaking officers in the division also. We have crime prevention information that's printed in Spanish and English. And so we try to reach out to everybody to explain to them, because a lot of times when you see a police officer, it's not a nice relationship. You've either gotten a speeding ticket or there's been some sort of trauma or tragedy, and we're there. So we try to break down those barriers that when people see the police officers out in the South Division, they feel comfortable to come up and talk to them. And so we try to reach out any way we can through literature, citizen contacts, and crime prevention bulletins, and our response area commanders put out monthly newsletters that also hold crime prevention tips.
Harold, is there any kinds of steps to be taken to deal with the homicide question now in the summer? I know that the numbers was homicide at 30%. Just wondering if there's anything that you all are going to be doing, in the divisions and neighborhoods and interactions.
Of all the things that we measure, we do a great job of preventing, Steve, but we don't know how to measure when we prevented a homicide. We don't know how to measure when we prevented a burglary. All we can say is that it went down. I can tell you in a couple of instances in the first 6 months of this year where we learned through intelligence, either through our officers in the division or through the investigation in a homicide, that there was going to be some retaliation, street justice, that was going to be served up pretty quickly. In every one of those cases, we mobilized every resource that we had immediately to address those folks who were thinking about some retaliation. One of the greatest ways for us to prevent future occurrences or retaliation or vengeance is to make a good, solid arrest of the suspect. We've demonstrated that with almost an 80% clearance rate of the 33 that we've had. We have 7 open cases, but specifically we have identified cases in the first 6 months where folks were going to reach out and affect some kind of retaliation, and we were able to stop that. Now, can I tell you that we stopped another homicide as a result of that, or another ADW? I'd like to think that we did, and that goes everything from enforcement strategies in a neighborhood or in a particular area to just meeting with the folks who we've heard might be considering something like this and saying, look, let us handle it. We've got it. And having those conversations. And so, yeah, I think we're doing the things that we can to address it. As I said earlier, it's hard to get into the hearts and minds of people who are in an emotional state and choose to handle their disputes, their frustrations, their anger in a decidedly final manner. It's extremely frustrating to us to learn the motives behind some of the homicides that should never have risen to that level, but did because of emotion.
Anybody else? Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you, boss. Good job.